Hey everyone, Kevin here. I got a request from Richard Bergvist to make a tutorial on pane blocks. Since it's a block, I decided to make it as an extension of the block tutorial. So this is part 3B in my Modding Minecraft 1.8 with Forge series. So here's how you make a pane block. Let's start off by taking a look at the vanilla pane blocks. You expand the reference libraries and the Forge source and scroll down to the block folder and locate and open the block class. In the block registry list, block 101 and 102 are pane blocks, the glass pane and the iron bars. And if you look at the block declaration, they're both block pane types. So let's open up the block pane class and see what it's all about. Block pane extends from the block class, so it inherits all the block properties and functions. The only difference is that there's a few extra methods added in this class for detecting and storing whether or not there's other blocks touching this block, and on which sides. These are required for adjusting the collision boxes and to send block state metadata to the renderer. The real magic happens in the JSON files, specifically the block state file. If you watched my previous video, you might remember that I mentioned the block state files can be used for adding different variations of the same block. Let's take a look at the block state JSON files for the glass pane. Here we have 16 different variations. For each one, there's a combination of 4 booleans: north, south, east, and west. A different model file is used with a specified rotation depending on the combination of these booleans, which represent whether or not a block is north, south, east, and/or west of the pane block. Let's take a quick look at the model files being used. As you can see, these model files don't actually define a model. They use the keyword parent to invoke another model file as its base. This glass pane underscore n for north model file is using the pane underscore n model file and assigning its own textures to it. Same with all the others. So let's dig a little deeper and take a look at the parent model files that are being used. And there it is. These are actual models. It's pretty hard to imagine what they look like from here, so let me show you in a 3D modeling program what these models look like. With these 5 models rotated at 90-degree intervals, you can connect them in all directional combinations. These are base model files and should never be modified. So we create our model files to invoke these as parents and simply assign different textures to them. The renderer will check the block state file and based on the configuration of the blocks north, south, east, and west of the pane block, it will select the assigned model and rotation of that configuration from the block state file. So let's get a copy of the glass pane block state and model files onto our desktop. Navigate to your Minecraft folder. In the versions folder, inside the 1.8 folder, open up the 1.8 jar file in 7-zip. We'll copy the entire assets folder to the desktop. Just drag it and drop it on your desktop. Now open up the Assets folder, and under Minecraft Block States, locate the glasspane.json file and copy it to your desktop. Then go back and inside the Models Block folder, locate the 5 glass pane variation JSON files and copy those to your desktop. Okay, now for the code. Create a new class in your package. Call it Custom Pane and click Finish to create. This class will be very much like the custom block class we made in the previous video, but without all the world generator code. As usual, we start by adding the imports we'll need, and we extend this class from the block pane class. We add the same variables that we used in the custom block class, with drop amount max set to 1 and max harvest exp set to 0 by default. Now to make this a little quicker and easier, we have all the code for this class already done in the custom block class from the previous video. Let's open the custom block class. We can highlight everything from the register renderer function on and copy and paste it in our custom pane class. Then we only need to add a constructor. The parameters for this constructor are the material, the name, hardness, resistance, creative tab, and the harvest tool enumerator and harvest level enumerator. Then we need to add a parent call to the block pane constructor and pass the material and false, which is a boolean used in the block pane class to allow the pane to drop itself on harvest. We'll be overriding that functionality of the block pane class so we can control its drops in this class. So this value doesn't really do anything. Then we assign all the parameter values to their corresponding variables. As a side note, I noticed after my previous video that I made a small mistake. If you go back to the custom block class in the constructor, we assign the drop on harvest using the getItemFromBlock function. This function cannot be used on a block until the block has been registered. So that line needs to be moved down after the registration of the block in both constructors. Then save the custom block class. And go back to the custom pane class. We do the same thing. We first register the block using the Forge game registry register block function. Then we assign the drop on harvest using the get item from block function. And we're all done with the custom pane class. You can save and close. Now open your main class. We're going to create a test pane block. Create a new public static declaration for a custom pane. I'm just going to call it test pane. Then you can save and close the main class. And open up the common proxy class. We'll initialize our test pane right after these other blocks. For the parameters, I use rock as the material, test pane as the name, 3 for hardness, 5 for resistance, decoration for the creative tab, and you need at least a stone pickaxe to harvest this block. And you can save and close the common proxy class. Then open the client proxy class. Here we call the register renderer function for our test pane and pass the name of the block state file to use, which will be testpane.json. And that's all for the code. You can save and close. Now we need to get all the assets ready and into the proper resource folders. On the desktop, we have all the JSON files we need. We just need to rename them and adjust their paths. This is the texture file I'll be using for my test pane. Just something I threw together quickly with a transparent background. So let's rename the files. The glass pane file is the block state file. Rename that to the name you chose in the register renderer function. And all the model files can be renamed to testpane_n, ne, ns, nse, and nsew. Then you can simply drag and drop these files into the appropriate folders in Eclipse. The block state file goes in the block state folder. Click OK to copy the file to that location. The model files go into the models block folder. And the texture goes in the textures blocks folder. And there's one last JSON file to get. Open the assets folder again, and under the Minecraft models item folder, locate the glasspane.json file. This is the item model of this block. It's the model used when the block is in the player's inventory or his hands. Delete the other JSON files on your desktop so that there's no conflicts, and rename this file to the same as the block state file, which is testpane.json in my case. And copy it to the models item folder in your resources. Okay, one last thing to do. We need to open each one of these JSON files and change the path names for each model and texture. Let's start with the block state file. These model names all need to be changed to my test pane model files. Remember that all paths in Forge must start with your mod ID and a colon. then the texture paths in each model file. And finally, the texture name in the item model file. And we're all done, except for one thing. Open the lang file in the lang folder and give your block an in-game name. Now let's hit the run button and test out this new Pane block. And that looks really ridiculous. I think I'm going to give this a better texture. I decided to go with this instead. Now let's give that another try. Debugging is always much slower than the actual game, so don't panic if it takes a little longer to load when you run from inside Eclipse. So there you go. That's the mechanics behind the Pane blocks. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. You can download the source and resources for this mod in the description, and please remember to hit that like button, and feel free to share and subscribe for more. See you soon.